Hi there. You might know me from such videos as headphones for small heads, or more headphones for small heads, or I'm going to review these headphones and I'm not going to title it that it's for small heads, but I am going to also talk about how it fits on small heads. I'm your cool Uncle Marissa, and invariably in all of these videos, I'm pretty sure, people always recommend clip-on headphones to me. If you've ever seen clip-on headphones, they look kind of like dorky and they're not super covered by the audio community. I don't really hear a lot about them one way or another. I never hear like, oh, clip-on headphones suck, but I also never hear like clip-on headphones are amazing. The ones that I hear about the most are the Koss ones, but I think with Koss, it's just, they're kind of known as like very high quality for a really affordable price, not necessarily comfort. Aside from the Porta Pros, I would say not really stylish. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay. But if you go on any e-commerce site like Amazon or whatever, you see there's plenty from Technica as well as from Panasonic, and the reviews are generally decent. They're priced quite cheap, like $15–20. They're not hard to get. There are a couple that are quite expensive, such as this like all metal Technica one, and these Technica ones that I've got right here, which are the ATH-EW9, also known as the Sovereign, and these are in wood. Oh, this one's backwards. Why didn't you say something? But yeah, this is a real wood finish. So this is one of those things that it's like, this is gonna go for a lot of money simply because of that finish. The metal ones, I believe, are very popular due to a video game called Persona. And apparently one of the protagonists wears them. And so that's, you know, that helps drive up sales. But how did I come by these? So a wonderful viewer, Francisco, sent these over to me. He was like, do you want to give them a try? Because I have them. And he sent them over, and just for like transparency, I asked him how much he got them for, and he said that they were about under $200 with import fees and shipping and everything from Japan. Even now, if you go on eBay, that's around what you're gonna have to pay, in the $100 to $200 range, depending on condition, etc. So that is why I have these, and I'm going to review them. First off, let's just talk about what we're seeing. We'll go through the 5 senses. These are much smaller than I thought in terms of just the size of the headphones, I guess. I kind of thought they would be more the size of, I guess, like, you know, yeah, Porta Pro, like covers your ear kind of. I thought the whole like over ear bit would be like that, but these are much smaller, and they come with this clip that is actually very flexible. So it opens and closes, but it also goes up and down. This suggests a lot of adjustment is possible to fit your or my specific ear shape. In terms of the cord is very, very thin. It actually gives me a little bit of anxiety because if you just drop it like this, like you can feel the weight of the headphone, and this feels so flimsy that it really scares me that it's gonna get damaged. So that's not ideal. But what I do love is, look at this. It's got that asymmetrical cord, and I don't see that a lot anymore. I had a pair of Sennheiser in-ear buds when I was in middle or high school or something, and I loved them because they had this. And part of why I love that is, you know, teachers wouldn't catch on that it's just around my neck because it's around the back, and usually with headphones you're used to seeing the dangle here. And we just don't see that as much anymore, which is such a shame because I think it's a really good design, and I wish more companies would do that. So that's wonderful. But again, like leaving it hanging like this gives me anxiety because you can feel the weight of the headphones. It's so flimsy that I feel it's gonna break. And then in terms of putting it on your ear, so this is always a struggle with, you know, I should really, if I really cared about you guys, I'd shave my head. Just unclip it. It goes over the back of your ear, and then you flatten it, and then you can also, you know, up or down the right here in order to get it where you want it comfortably. And it's comfortable enough. You need to have both on, again, because this is such a thin wire. If you just leave this one hanging, it's gonna start pulling on this. So you do need to have both of them on. Really, I don't understand the logic with this, with the cable. It is very, very flimsy. And for as heavy as they feel on the wire, it does feel rather light and comfortable on my ear. Yeah, I would say that's like probably the first surprise, is that, oh, they're actually pretty comfortable. I feel like they don't look particularly nerdy. They don't look as nerdy as like I thought they would. But also, I'm like this nerdy person with this dorky ass channel being like, I don't think they look nerdy. So if you are a cool girl who somehow is watching this video for some reason, you tell us, do we look nerdy? Do you guys hear that? Those sirens? They're coming to take me to the burn unit for that sick burn on myself. Another thing to note with the cable is it's really short, really short. So it'll go from here to like your pocket. Great for, I guess, listening on your phone or your MP3 player or whatever. But you might want an extension if you're using it on a computer or a docked console or anything like that, because it's very short. And I'm not necessarily saying that as a criticism, because sometimes, like, you know, I'm wearing my headphones and I'm going out and like on the subway and stuff. And the other day I tried to leave the subway at my stop and I got caught on something and I was like, what the hell? And I turned around and the cord from my headphones was caught on this woman's coat button and we had to wrangle my wire off her coat, and very embarrassing situation. It would never happen with this. So there is definitely a huge benefit to having a shorter cord. And then in terms of how well they stay on, so this is where we go into anatomy. They stay on surprisingly well. I did not try them at the gym because I don't go to the gym. I should, you should. I'll go, let's go together. But when I shake my head and stuff, they don't, I can feel them moving, but they're not like flying off. So they're probably fine for like walking. I haven't taken them out. For some reason, my ears feel really hot with them on. Like they're not plugged in or anything. It's not an electrical thing. They just feel really hot. And part of why that's weird is the anatomy. These are made for a very specific anatomy. I'm gonna take this off and show you. My ears are detached. And yours might be too. Like, you know, you can put your hand around them and you can be Dumbo. Whee! Some people's ears are a lot closer to their head. I think this would work a lot better for someone whose ears are closer to their head. Because for me, as someone with ears that have a lot of range, my ears have a lot of range. They're gonna be nominated for Best Actor. For someone whose ears have a lot of range of movement, like to get the best sound, you obviously need it closest to your ear, nice and tight. But the more I tighten the clip, the more it just pushes my ear out. And so it doesn't actually help with getting the headphone pressed onto my ear, because my ear just keeps going out, and then as it goes out, it lifts the headphone. I cannot say this with 100% confidence because the only other person in my home I live with also has ears like mine with a lot of range. But if you have experience and you have like closer ears to your head, please sound off in the comments. But for me personally, this is the deal breaker for this style of headphone. The clip being on the back and the weight being in the front pulls my ears forward and pulls the actual sound source away from my ear holes. So not for me, but maybe for you. And honestly, this is something that is very common with any sort of personal audio device is anatomy. Whether it's like, is your head too small or is your head too big? If it's in your headphones, how deep are your ear canals? Even the Moondrop pill, the clip-on open earbuds that I reviewed earlier, which I love, I could see those not working for people based on their ear anatomy, on if it ends up sitting really far from your ear holes. It's always a case of anatomy, but with this one, it doesn't work for mine, unfortunately. So with that being said, I would like to talk about the audio quality with the caveat that like, they don't really sit nice and comfortably. So I did do audio testing just like this, and I did a bit with like putting them a little bit closer like this, not smushing them in to muffle things, but a little bit. The sound is very clear when I listen to music. It's very clear. I could hear everything. It's a bit more airy, I would say. There's obviously not really any bass, but the lows are clear enough. They register very well. I can feel them in like usually the center of the sound stage. Because of the airy quality, the highs, depending on what you're listening to, can become a bit troublesome. If you're listening to a higher pitched voice, you might find it harsh or piercing. It does change how harsh or piercing it is based on the volume. If you turn the volume down, I know this sounds stupid, but it's not always the case. If you turn the volume down, it helps with the harshness of the highs, but also I don't know if that's something that one would want to do. I personally don't know if these are the best for someone who listens to like, I don't know, who's high pitched, like J-pop girlies. J-pop girlies are very high pitched. And this is coming from someone who loves the Grado headphones, and Grado sound signature is very much a little more on the high end. I did also notice that the mids can get a little muddy. I don't really know, again, if that's because they're so far from my ear. I don't think so. But I don't think that's a huge issue for casual listening, which that's what these are for. I don't think they've been marketed as, or anyone thinks that they're for like analytical, critical listening. Yeah, overall, I mean, they sound good. They do not sound $180. We know that the $100 to $200 comes from the scarcity, the wood finish, and especially in the case of the all metal one, which it's not an EW, it's a different one, so I don't think they sound the same, but that one is also very expensive. I think that one also comes from scarcity and also the fandom desire to have it, the persona fandom. If you're someone who has them, sound off, but I see those paired a lot with like Sony Walkman, the modern Walkman, not the tape players, and I guess that's like a whole other aesthetic that I'm not familiar with. Of course, if you want it for the aesthetic, then yeah, I'm not going to tell you what to do. But Francisco, even he has the COS clip-ons, and he also personally was saying that he would recommend the COS clip-ons as well. And those are super cheap. Those are under 20, I believe. If you want something more aesthetic than the COS clip-ons, which definitely have a dad in the 90s going for a run vibe, there's other Audio-Technica ones and Panasonic ones that are also under $20. I have not tested them, but they're available on Amazon, and Amazon, horrible a company as it is, they have a good return policy. So if you want to give them a try, they're there. And the Panasonic one, they have a blue one, and that one's a very pretty color. I almost did get that before Francisco reached out to me about these guys. This was, I would say, more a review of the form factor than the product itself, given it's a hard to find product and it's not something that I think is terribly worth the price tag. So I'm not going to come here and be like, this is hard to find, you're probably not going to get it, and it's not great. But I think at the end of the day, the conclusion is that if you can find an affordable one, which you can, that sounds good, and you have the correct ear anatomy, these are a very nice alternative to over-ear or on-ear headphones, in that they have the good coverage, and if you've got your hair up in a beehive, it's not gonna bother you. Maybe it's 60s night. Otherwise, I would say like the situations that this might demand would be one that I would probably use my Moondrop pill earbuds, or my Sony MDR-006, which is the ancient Walkman headphones, which also, I haven't looked into those for a while, but don't pay more than $20 for those either. There are people who are like, they see the Sony name and they see Walkman and they're like, $500. No. I also have another good alternative to those that I want to talk about in the near future. Ooh. I hope this was helpful if you are curious about clip-on headphones, especially as it's so frequently suggested as an alternative to other styles for people with smaller heads. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Francisco for mailing me these. I actually, I try to be really careful with other people's property. So I put them somewhere safe, somewhere so safe that it took me 5-6 months, and I ran into them the other day and I was like, oh my God, I forgot about these. They were so safe though. They were so safe from me, from everyone, from all manners of evil. So I do apologize for the delay. These will be making their way back to their rightful owner. A huge thank you to my Ko-fi supporters. Their names do be scrolling. If you would like to see game reviews or write-ups or whatever, you can become a Nerdfew Advance for $2 a month. And I also have a shop on my Ko-fi if you want labels for your Game Boy Advance, your games. I've got a lot of random stuff that I've put together. I also have Cool Uncle merch stickers. All that being said, I am your Cool Uncle Marissa, and don't forget that you are always welcome at Cool Uncle's house, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.